I applied from Central Arkansas, so I'm from about 30 minutes outside Little Rock. So we very different culturally. I think Bristol has about 5 times the population of my home city. So definitely an adjustment. Whenever I applied to Bristol, the degree of my ignorance cannot be exaggerated. Like I was like, I'm gonna apply to a ton of different places. I'm gonna see what sticks. I'm gonna see where I can get into. And then whenever I have all my receive everything, I'm gonna decide where I want to attend. And so whenever I applied to Bristol, I had never been to the city of Bristol. I had not really researched it all that much. The fact that you're in a webinar right now means that you've done 10 times the amount of research that I've done because I didn't even know these things existed until about a week ago. And so I had no idea what was going on. I found out about the LNAT a week before I took it actually. Um, and so I found the school, ran into it. I was like, oh, this is interesting. So I put it as one of my 5 to apply to. I got in, and whenever I started evaluating all my options, it was like, this is a really good opportunity. So personally, I am doing my 3 years here as my undergraduate, and then I'm planning on going back to the US for another 3 years postgraduate for my JD. So this is just counting it as like an unrelated undergraduate in a way to where because I don't want to practice in California or New York. So some of the other states would require you, like Arkansas, require you to do a university back home. Some of them do accelerated programs, stuff like that, but it's traditionally still like a 3 year, depending on what state you go to. So yeah, and I figured, hey, why not, cut out general educations? Why not cut a year off of school? And why not actually focus on what I want to do? Because I knew I wanted to do law. So I wasn't really interested in doing, 4 years of politics or 4 years of psychology where I could just do straight to law. So that's why Bristol. Academic adjustments. This was insane. So I was used to very high intensity environments to the point where 7 classes, attend 5 times a week, with about 3 to 5 assignments per class per week. It's not the same here, like at all. Each class has one, like usually like one assignment that you submit as almost a final project, and that is your one grade. It's your summative assessment. You do your formative as kind of like a preparation form of that, and so you do like a practice exam, if you will, and then summative. Most of them are written, and you submit your one written item that's like 3,000 words roughly, depending on the class, of course, and that's just 100% of your final grade. So that's a little scary, but it also means that there's no attendance grade, there's no homework other than, just reading assignments and keeping up with stuff. So it's not the same extent of I have to worry about a million deadlines. It's I have to make sure that I'm keeping up with my reading and keeping up with having, to talk in seminars, but not if, I get a little bit behind, then all of a sudden I'm failing in a class. Because you just have to keep on track, which requires a substantial amount of self discipline, to make sure that you're actually staying on track. But you can kind of work some of those kinks out in your first year. Break times. So I was also used to 1 week spring break as opposed to the 3 week spring break that I just took. So that was very nice. Followed by soon to be, another reading week, which is just a week off of class where you just have time to catch up on reading. Um, it really is designed to maximize your ability to catch up with everything. It's very student oriented. You have the ability to do all that. Um, so that was academic adjustment. Student life. Um, Culture shock is a real thing. I highly recommend that as soon as you get to the UK, you go to a student organization and you get plugged in. It is like vital that you actually have some anchor to where you are. Because if you don't do that, then as you go through, your first couple weeks, it's just going to get to a point where you miss home and you're more homesick, and the cultural adjustment is going to be even more. Um, I was in a flat of only 5 people. I was in university accommodation, flat of 5 people. Two of them were from India, one was from Malaysia, the other one was from Qatar and Sri Lanka. So very international, very worldwide. And so there's people even in this picture right here. I'm in the back. That's a bad photo of me. I had someone else make this slideshow. Maybe that was a mistake. The guy to the left, he's from the UK. The guy to the right, I mean, yeah, the guy to the right is from Ukraine. And so it's you can look up the statistics online. I think it's about one in every third students at Bristol are international. Um, and so you get a lot more experience, a lot more exposure to different people. Um, and you get a lot more freedom with your time as well from the academic aspect of it, which is really useful when you want to choose your own hobbies and choose what you want to do, and choose who your friends are, if you will. Culture changes. They mentioned this earlier. It's very much a walking city. Me being from Arkansas and driving, that was a really big adjustment. Every time I walked home, I had to go up a really big hill, and I was out of breath every time, and I collapsed on my bed. And maybe that's just because I wasn't in shape, but I definitely am now. Because you really do walk everywhere if you, I guess, if you want to. I personally end up walking everywhere. I think I've taken the bus like one time since I've been here, and I've taken the trains quite a lot. But it's honestly, it I did not expect to enjoy that as much as I enjoy that. I really do appreciate the fact that I get the chance to walk everywhere. It gives a lot more freedoms. It gives a lot more. It keeps me in much better shape. Speaking of better shape, there's also no preservatives. Not gonna lie, sometimes I really miss my preservatives because my food doesn't stay fresh for as long. But honestly, if you're walking around everywhere, it's a lot easier to just buy food at the moment. So it's very different in that sense to where in Arkansas you would stockpile food in a pantry, but here you're getting food, maybe buy for the week or even a couple of times a week. Um, Very, very different. More multicultural. Kind of elaborated on that already. Cashless. So this is just a practical tip. You need to operate on credit cards and debit cards primarily. And you really want to do that because, for one, the exchange rate, and for two, not every place accepts cash. You're going to get a much worse exchange rate in cash. Anyway, that's all international stuff. That's practical travel experience. But you want to have a card. That's just a side note. Also, British food, been made fun of a lot. Honestly, it's kind of top tier because you have a ton of different foods coming all throughout Europe, all from Africa, Eurasia, really, and you have a lot from the Middle East. In this picture, I put British food in the top left, but you have a lot of Indian food, you have a lot of Greek food, you have a lot of just random stuff from all over the world, and honestly, it's really really good. And as much as British food is made fun of, they actually have some really really good stuff. Um, I'm conscientious of time, so I'm going to speed up a little bit. You're in the UK, so you have a chance to travel. Bath is a 10-minute train ride away for about £10 there and back. Um, Cardiff was like 30 minutes away on a train ride, I think, maybe like closer to an hour. Actually, never mind. Edinburgh is a little bit further. Ireland is attainable. Once you're in Europe, inter-European travel becomes a lot easier, and airlines like Ryanair and just places that are or like Jet2, like those kinds of places can give you cheaper flights within Europe itself, and so you want to look into those. And obviously, London is close. It's like a 2-hour train ride away, so that's a big deal if you ever want to go visit London. Conclusion. So yeah, it's honestly it has a lot more perks than I expected. Going into it, having no idea what I was doing, um, I made it work, and honestly, I love it. It was an adjustment to say the least, but it's great for not only educational purposes but also for being independent because there really really is a strong sense of independence that you would not traditionally expect in a U.S. university. Um, Honestly, I love it. I highly recommend it to anyone who's thinking about it. Do be aware of the culture shocks, but also be aware that whenever you come, you are integrating yourself into a new culture and you make a new home.